Welcome to CTMLS and SCCMLS Rules and Regulations. These are the types of listings that are allowed in the MLS. Exclusive agency. This is where the seller retains the right to sell without paying a commission. Exclusive right to sell or lease. This is an agreement where the seller's broker will receive a commission from the seller regardless of who brings the buyer into the purchase. Please note the difference between exclusive agency and exclusive right to sell. These types of listings could either be exclusive agency or exclusive right to sell. Co-lists, where both parties must be a participant subscriber. Limited service, where the listing broker gives cooperating broker specific authority to show and/or negotiate directly. And office exclusive. This is where the seller does not want their listing to be in the MLS. These are the types of listings not allowed in the MLS. Open listings. Listings that use multiple real estate agents in order to sell, and whichever agent sells the property collects the commission. Net listings. Under a net listing, the broker can offer the property for sale at the highest price obtainable to increase the commission. This type of listing is illegal in South Carolina and therefore not allowed in the MLS. Duplicate listings. These are listings that are not co-listed with a different company. Businesses. Businesses for sale that would not convey any real property are not eligible for inclusion in the commercial MLS system. Commission versus compensation. Commission is between the seller and listing broker. It is strictly negotiable and there are no normals. Compensation. This is the percent or dollar amount offered to other MLS participants for their services in the sale or lease of a listing. Please note, the listing broker retains the right to determine the amount of compensation offered to other participants, acting as subagents, buyer's agents, or in other agency or non-agency capacities defined by law, which may be the same or different. Compensation rules. The 3 available compensation fields in MLS are required fields, and at least one should contain a value greater than 0. Values should be entered as a percentage of the gross selling price or a definite dollar amount. For residential only, mark variable compensation with a Y if the listing agent or company commission is different if they sell it in-house. For example, the listing agent doesn't need to reveal the total commission, but must reveal the advantage as a percentage or dollar amount, which may differ depending on the type of agency. The variable compensation is between the seller and listing brokerage. Per mandated MLS policy, the MLS shall not fix, control, recommend, suggest, or maintain the division of commissions or fees between cooperating participants or between participants and non-participants. Statuses in Flex MLS: active, active contingent, pending, closed, temporarily off market, canceled, rented, expired. Statuses in Catalyst: active, incomplete, irregular price size, missing field, inactive, outdated, private, sale pending, lease pending, sold, expired, leased. There is a status in Catalyst called outdated listings. In an effort to maintain accuracy in the MLS system, Catalyst requires that you verify the status of your active listings every 6 weeks. Listings that have not been touched in 45 days will fall into this outdated category and simply need to be verified or updated if necessary. They will not show in search results while they remain outdated. If you have listings that are nearing the 45-day mark, Catalyst will send you an email alert and also show an alert on your dashboard and listing manager. Listing guidelines. Residential listings must be available to show. They must be available to all agents within 7 calendar days of MLS entry, other than proposed construction or under construction. Listings already on the market that become unavailable to show for more than 7 days must be put into a temporarily off-market status by the listing agent. Listing photos. Licensees must obtain proper license for any photos that they do not own. This includes photos taken from the internet, for example, photos of amenities, landmarks, etc. If you wish to use another agent's photos from a previous listing, you must get written permission from the agent and the photographer if applicable. Recommended practice is to take all listing photos yourself or hire a photographer and obtain proper documentation for use. Questions should be directed to your broker in charge and/or the MLS. Listing entry. Residential listings must be entered into the MLS within 2 business days, Monday through Friday, of the listing agreement date. Commercial listings must be entered into the MLS within 5 business days, Monday through Friday, of the listing agreement date. Listing penalties and fines. Accuracy in your listing input is very important. If you do not follow the rules, you may be subject to a penalty or fine. Listing entry for residential must be entered within 2 business days of the effective date on the listing agreement. For commercial, it must be entered within 5 business days of the effective date on the listing agreement. Late entries for either side will incur a $50 fine. Repeated violations will result in a meeting with the MLS Board of Directors and possible censure, fine, suspension, or termination. Contact information. Personal contact information such as names, phone numbers, email addresses, company name, website information, social media contact information may not be entered into remarks, directions, photos, or virtual media. This includes such comments as contact listing agent for additional information. Offending content will be removed immediately and the participant broker in charge will be fined $250. If re-entered, the listing will be withdrawn. Potential financing information. Proposed financing information should be disclosed through dedicated fields and may not be entered into the public remarks. This includes the names of financing programs for which the listing may qualify for and contact information for lenders. Participant broker in charge will be fined $50 for the violation. Any content of rules violation will be removed immediately and the listing agent will be notified. Inaccurate information. Intentional inaccuracy in required fields. Participant broker in charge will be fined $125 if not corrected after 2 business days of notification by the MLS staff. If listing is not corrected within 2 days after original notification, the MLS staff will correct the inaccuracy. Directions. Commercial listings. Directions must be for the property address listed. Residential. Directions must be for the property address listed and not the sales center or model home. Directions to the sales center or model home may only be given in the agent notes. For both, the participant broker in charge will be fined $50 for violation of the direction rules. Any content violation of the rule will be removed immediately and the listing agent notified. Photo entry. All listings should have photos in the MLS within 5 business days of the effective date of the listing. 1 photo must be of the front of the building. Rentals must also have at least 1 photo of the front of the building. If photos are not uploaded within 5 business days of listing input date, the participant broker in charge will be fined $50 for violation. Exceptions. Any seller may opt out of photo representation, but proper documentation is required. Under construction and land listings are not required to have a photo entry. Photo content. Images may not contain people, pornographic material, or logos, including yard signs of any nature. The offending content will be removed immediately and the listing agent notified. The participant broker in charge will be fined $50 for said violation. Residential only. Seller's disclosure. Sellers are required to provide a seller's disclosure prior to the buyer signing an offer. All residential listings should have a seller's disclosure or exemption uploaded to the MLS within 5 days of the effective date of listing. The participant broker in charge will be fined $50 for the violation of the rules for seller's disclosure. Exceptions. Those listings exempt from the seller's disclosure law are also exempt from these policies. Sellers can direct their listing brokerage to not upload the seller's disclosure to the MLS. Lead-based paint disclosure. Sellers are required to provide a lead-based paint disclosure on properties built before 1978 prior to the buyer signing an offer. A properly executed lead-based paint disclosure is required and should be uploaded to the MLS within 5 business days for all residential listings built before 1978. The participant broker in charge will be fined $50 for violation of the rules for lead-based paint disclosure. Sellers can direct their listing brokerage to not upload the lead-based paint disclosure to the MLS. Agent reports, residential only. MLS-generated reports designated as agent reports contain confidential information that may not be shared with the public. Participant broker in charge will be fined $500 for the first offense and subject to suspension of membership privileges for 6 months for a second offense at the discretion of the MLS Board of Directors. Private agent reports may only be given to other MLS agents, not to the general public, clients, or customers. Public or customer reports may be given to anyone in the general public. Commercial report guidelines. The commercial MLS system, Catalyst, has a variety of listing reports available. When preparing a report for a client as the buyer's agent, be sure to customize the report and select to include your contact information rather than the listing agent's contact information. Listing penalties and fines. Misrepresentation of status other than closed. If listing is not corrected within 2 business days after original notification, the participant broker in charge will be fined $250 for failing to update the status of a listing. Misrepresentation of a closed status. If listing is not corrected within 5 business days after original notification, participant broker in charge will be fined $250 for failing to update the status of a listing. MLS security. For residential, MLS login credentials and SentryLock smart cards must not be shared with anyone else, even if they are licensed. MLS members who share these will be fined $1,000 for the first offense and subject to suspension of membership privileges for 6 months for a second offense at the discretion of the Board of Directors. Smart cards are only available for actively licensed real estate professionals. Commercial. MLS login credentials must not be shared with anyone else, even if they are licensed. Members who share these will be fined $1,000 for the first offense and subject to suspension of membership privileges for 6 months for a second offense at the discretion of the MLS Board of Directors. Listing terms and definitions. Extensions. You may extend a listing before the expiration date or within 30 days of expiration date to keep the MLS number. More than 30 days after expiration, you must input a new listing. DOM, days on market. These are the number of days that the listing has been on the market under the current MLS number. CDOM, cumulative days on the market. These are the total number of days the listing has been on the market. Showings. Showing scheduling is done through the listing broker only. An exception may occur if the listing broker gives the cooperating broker specific authority to show and/or negotiate directly. Negotiations. Negotiations for listings in the MLS are conducted through the listing broker. An exception may occur if the listing broker gives the cooperating broker specific authority to show and/or negotiate directly. Use of the terms MLS and multiple listing service can be found under the MLS Rules and Regulations Section 4.4, Standards of Conduct, Conduct for MLS Participants, Section 16 of the MLS Rules and Regulations, and Article 16 of the Code of Ethics.